Madam President, by authorization of the State University of New York Board of Trustees and the college faculty, I declare this commencement to be in session. Please rise for the singing of the national anthem led by Seth Hill. Gentlemen, please remove your caps.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose proud stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please be seated. I would like to introduce the members of the platform party. From my left, Director of MBA Programs, Irene Scruton. Dean of the School of Business, Richard Skolnik. Vice President for Administration and Finance, Nicholas Lyons. From my right, Vice President for Development and Alumni Relations, Mary Canali. Senior Vice President, Electronic Warfare, SRC Incorporated, and our guest speaker, Joseph Lauco. President of the college, Deborah F. Stanley. And I am Vice Chair-elect of the Faculty Assembly, Elizabeth Schmitt. Allow me to also acknowledge our special guest who joined us in this evening's commencement procession. Seated in the front row are the following SRC executives. Mary Pat Hartnett, President of SRC Tech. Tim Mosier, President of Acumen Detection. Tony Albanese, President of Griffin Sensors. Greg Polhamus, Director of SRC R&S. Phil Fazio, SRC Executive Vice President of Finance and Chief Financial Officer. Jim Holland, SRC Executive Vice President of Enterprise Services and Solutions, and a member of SUNY Oswego's School of Business Dean's Advisory Board. Thank you all for joining us this evening in support of your SRC colleagues. I now give you Deborah F. Stanley, President of the State University of New York at Oswego.
Welcome to this wonderful and special commencement ceremony. It is a very special occasion tonight. We haven't done this before for our friends and our colleagues at SRC. This is a day and an evening of well-earned and joyful celebration for you and your loved ones that you brought with you this evening. You know, graduation is a rich tradition, especially here at SUNY Oswego. It recognizes the achievement, hard work, and sacrifices of our graduates, and all of you in the audience, parents, spouses, children, supporters, you've all contributed at arriving at this particular day. This gathering, designed exclusively for SRC employees who will soon become MBA graduates from SUNY Oswego, celebrates the core mission of our college. It has been our privilege to light the path to increased wisdom and to empower all of you, these accomplished women and men, to continue to pursue meaningful lives and contribute to building a better world. Welcome. I now give you Corey Stockman, who will deliver remarks on behalf of the master's candidates.
I noticed in the program I was listed as greetings, so I should say greetings to everyone. Thank you for coming out here. So this is me, embracing another challenge. Perhaps I'm a bit naive, but I always say yes to challenges, and I always try to learn from them. In this particular instance, I did learn that going through 3 years of schooling pales in comparison to the anxiety felt giving a commencement speech. So you guys might be rolling your eyes thinking, yeah, well, you did it to yourself, but that's not true. You guys did it to me. Before this program started, I hadn't really gotten to know many of the engineers at SRC, and it's blown me away just how smart you guys are. Each class I learned something new as you all shared your thoughts and your stories. You've made me fall in love with Panera Bread. You've taught me how little I know about the Erie Canal. You've shown me, or you've lectured us on the intricacies of the manufacturing status boards. But above all, you've proven to me that with years of practice, it is possible to shorten a 40-minute PowerPoint to 36 minutes. However, what'll stick with me the most were the stories I heard about your families. All the time that you guys were sacrificing with your kids to be there, all the different juggling of responsibilities at home. I know that it was a sacrifice for you guys to get this degree, and it was really impressive for me to see the focus and hard work that you guys put in to get here. You inspired me every time we interacted, and that's why I wanted to be able to do this today, just to say thank you to you guys. So thank you. It's an honor to speak on your behalf, and I humbly request that we stay friends going forward. Most graduation speakers I've seen in the past are either a celebrity or some sort of respected member of faculty who's had countless years of experience, and you guys are actually getting a pretty raw deal today in that respect. I obviously don't have much wisdom to share with you guys, and I checked before this, and I'm currently 15 million Twitter followers short of Beyonce. But there is one thing that I do feel comfortable talking about, and that's optimism. If you guys will take a moment to travel back in time with me to 6 years ago, on a couch in a Tip Hill apartment, that's in Syracuse on the west side, you'll find somebody probably with a PBR in his hand, a newly anointed Bachelor of Accounting, eager to find a job, just any full-time job at all. Growing up, I always thought that I would need to get a graduate degree to stand out to employers. I'd gone into college with the expectation that I'd be there for 5 years, yet there I sat after only 4 years, just so desperate to move on and get a job and make some money so I would never have to ask my mom to help me pay the national grid bill ever again. I told myself I'd go back to school someday, down the road. I didn't have specific plans for it. And I think in the back of my mind, I understood that there was a chance it would never happen. I didn't really want to admit that to anyone, but I'm sure most of you have felt a similar way at some point, maybe in a family conversation with Aunt Susie about, oh yeah, of course I'm going to go back and get my MBA someday. That's a really easy thing to do without actually having any planning or putting in any work whatsoever, of course. But I think back to that time in my life, and I realized that that was only 6 years ago. I was only 21, and I thought that an opportunity had passed me by. I barely know that person anymore. I think back, how silly was I, how stupid was I to think that something had passed me by? Now, from looking at this ridiculous outfit, you guys know what has happened in the past 6 years. I found a fantastic company who partnered with a wonderful school, and they created this awesome program that they brought to us. And again, it was an opportunity that just a few years ago, I wasn't sure I'd ever have. And I think that's why we should all be optimistic about improving our situation or overcoming a new challenge. It would have been easy for me to just maintain that same perception that I had, or think that I didn't have the time or that I wasn't smart enough to pull this off. But instead, I went for it. I believed that this was the right thing for me to do. I believed that I could pull it off and that I would pull it off. Now, admittedly, I was fortunate enough to do something in just 6 years and reach one of my goals, but some of you guys had to wait half of a lifetime for this to come true. And that opportunity did eventually come. When it did, you guys jumped at it. You took advantage of it, and you pulled it off, obviously. You're here today. I think that we should all look to that as an example, that if you put yourself in the right situation and you stay optimistic, you can achieve things that you never knew were possible. And on that note, I'd ask each one of the graduates here, just take a look back at the people that came out here to support you today, because I know that I couldn't have done this without the support of my family and friends. So each one of you guys just take a moment just to turn around and say thank you to everybody. I know that we couldn't have done it without everyone, and personally I'd like to thank everyone else here just for supporting us in our moments when we were stressed out. I'm sure that those weren't our best moments. Additionally, I would like to thank President Stanley, Dean Skolnik, and the rest of the SUNY Oswego staff and faculty just for bringing this program to SRC and educating us. I don't know of any other program that would provide the convenience and flexibility that they did for us. I need to give a very, very special thanks to Irene, who did more than anyone could have possibly ever asked for to make us feel comfortable. You were simply outstanding. And on the SRC side, I want to thank Jim and Paul and the rest of the executive team just for investing in your employees and believing in us. That means so much. I could never say enough how fortunate we are to work for a company like SRC, so thank you guys. And then I also want to thank Melanie and Barb and Sue and the rest of our HR team for putting this program together, taking care of everything on the back end, and staying sane while you dealt with our daily changing requests. Thank you guys. So to finish up, I just want to touch on how unique this experience was for us. We didn't have a traditional MBA program. We won't have memories of the SUNY Oswego community. We never got to cheer on Laker sports or participate in any clubs on campus, but we will have something else. I think back to when Kim Townsend, who's the CEO of Loretto, was kind enough, she came in and she spoke at one of our classes and shared her thoughts with what it takes to be a leader with us. And one observation that she mentioned is that every problem is a people problem. I see half of you nodding, should be all of you. That was an important lesson to understand the power of what can be achieved when you have people working together and when you invest time into relationships and connect with people so that you can overcome obstacles. I bring that up because, as I just mentioned, this wasn't a traditional MBA program, but one thing that we did have that made this experience special was the people. I'll remember my fellow graduates, my professors, the faculty, everyone at SRC that made this program possible. I'll remember those who started the program with us and dropped off because they left the company or for any other reason. I'll remember Leah and Mallory and Amber, who still have a couple classes left, but they're here in spirit today. And so overall, I can't help but think of this as a people program. That's what we had here, that's what made it special. And above all, I just feel fortunate that I got to share time with everyone over these past 3 years and I got to know everyone. So congratulations to all of my fellow classmates, and thank you guys so much because you made this a wonderful experience for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. SUNY Oswego enjoys a long relationship with nearby Fort Drum and numerous veteran groups in central New York. We are dedicated to providing a welcoming and supportive environment for our veteran and military student population, and our college is enriched by their presence in turn. Military veterans graduating today are wearing red, white, and blue cords to signify their service. Those graduates and anyone else who has served in our nation's armed forces, including family and guests, please stand. For your contributions to this nation, we thank you.
Well, I have the great pleasure to introduce someone to you that you know better than I. But some of you in the audience may not if you're from SUNY Oswego. It's my pleasure to introduce Joseph Lauko, the Senior Vice President of the Electronic Warfare Division at SRC Inc. Joe has more than 27 years of experience at SRC, so I'm assuming that you do know him well. Starting as an entry-level electrical engineer and taking on roles of increasing responsibility during his tenure. Today, he directs a team of engineers that are engaged in developing cutting-edge electronic warfare systems and information technology applications. He's responsible for the management, technical leadership, and business development for an organization that has offices in Syracuse and Rome, New York, San Antonio, Dayton, Washington, D.C., and Charlottesville, Virginia. Joe is a member of the Museum of Science and Technology's Board, the SUNY Oswego Engineering Advisory Board, and Page's Butterfly Run Advisory Board. He's also a member of numerous technical and federal business organizations. I give you Joseph Lauko.
So first off, let me say that Paul Tremont has a little video that he'd like to show before I start my talk. But before we show the video, I'd just like to say, Paul has been, and many of you, I know Paul has tried to stop by and talk, but Paul has been a proponent of this program right from the start and is a huge proponent of MBA programs and getting more people at SRC involved. So he wished he could have been here tonight. He's actually somewhere between here and Cincinnati, Ohio, in a U-Haul van, I think, with his daughter, moving her to Cincinnati to her new job. So with that.
Congratulations on receiving your MBA from SUNY Oswego. I know it wasn't easy balancing a full-time job, MBA classes, and family obligations, but you did it, and I am very proud of all of you. SRC is known for our innovation across all our divisions and departments. I believe our innovations are even more impactful when you combine it with the business smarts that you all acquired in pursuit of your MBA. I am excited about our future because of all your efforts. Again, congratulations, and take the time to celebrate with your family and friends, those who helped you along the way.
He is bigger than life, isn't he? Okay, first of all, let me say some thank yous to, first of all, President Stanley, the Oswego faculty, the administration, the staff that has helped put on this fantastic event and really, allowed this program to happen. So thank you. Thank you to Oswego. Thank you very much. Also, and Corey mentioned it, SRC for having the vision and really the flexibility to allow a program like this to happen. But most of all, I want to applaud and thank the graduates who are sitting out here tonight. I mean, what you have done is fantastic. You can hear the families in the background, holding a full-time job, family things, going for an MBA is just outstanding. So I'm going to applaud you. Thank you. So the three ingredients to success that I just mentioned, a great institution of learning that thought outside the box, a company that truly cares about its employees, and the people with the determination to really persevere and make it through, the commitment that you made it through. That is really a recipe for success. I'm just going to speak very briefly, and some of you have heard this, those of you who are at SRC, about the SRC leadership model, which also has three ingredients. The first is that technical knowledge, that degree that you had when you were hired at SRC. I believe Jim calls it, it's sort of the admission ticket to the SRC party, right? We have a very high bar at SRC. We hire the best and the brightest. So for you to be part of SRC, you've already accomplished a lot, and we're obviously very successful in getting your initial degree. You know, the second thing that we talk about, the second component of that SRC leadership model is the business acumen, right? That's a piece that a lot of, you know, some of you come in with more business-oriented degrees, but a lot of people like myself who came in with an engineering degree, not so much. I can tell a quick little story. When I was probably at SRC maybe 2 years, and I can remember, you know, we all fill out our timesheets each week, and we have a number that we're filling out 8 hours this day. And there came to one timesheet period, and I didn't have a number. And I walked into my boss's office, Joe Len, some of you know him, and I said, Joe, I don't have a number to fill out. What should I put it against? And he's like, well, yeah, we got a gap in funding right now. I guess there's an overhead number, which was really forbidden back then. And I said, okay, well, what should I work on? I'm working on this, one piece of software. He goes, yeah, I guess keep doing that. And so I walked out of his office, and I can remember going, this is awesome. I get to work on what I want to work on for the next, this is great. Very low business acumen at that point. And that may have been good for my psyche. Maybe it was better for me. But by you going through and getting an MBA, obviously you've already taken a giant step towards business acumen. Now it's bringing that knowledge back to SRC and helping make SRC more successful. And the third component is emotional intelligence. And Corey, actually, when you were talking, you mentioned it a little bit. It's really about those relationships that you build. Is how do you become the best team member and be the best team member at SRC? That's how you start that emotional intelligence journey. Be the person that everybody wants on the team. The second part is what can you bring to that team that's a little bit different? What other perspective can you bring? Now you've got an MBA degree. Bring that MBA perspective. When you're in those meetings that might be very technical, think outside the box. Think about what does this mean from a business perspective. And then the third part that some of you already deal with, and many of you will as you move into those leadership roles, is really how do you build that team? How do you build that team that is going to be effective and be a stellar team? And Jack Welch, who some of you may be familiar with from GE fame, one thing Jack Welch says when you're thinking about that team and when you're building that team is if you're a leader and you're the smartest person in the room, you've got real problems. You've got to be able to reach out. And one of the things, again, that I heard Corey mention, being able to reach out not only within your group and the people, for me, reach out to other electrical engineers, but how do you reach out cross-disciplinary to other parts of the company, to other companies under the enterprise at SRC? Reach out and make those connections, and you've already got, again, a head start on that, even with people that are in your MBA class. Those are the teams that make SRC successful, and those are the teams that are going to make us successful in the future. Oh, I had one more quote. A lot of people know I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, so Marv Levy, Marv Levy said, leadership is not getting people to follow you, but it's getting people to join you. And that, I think, is powerful, too. So think about that as you move through your career and you become leaders. And my challenge to you, after obtaining this degree, is, as I mentioned earlier, is now bring that knowledge back to SRC. Help SRC become a better place, a more rounded place. I told Tony I was going to mention him in the speech. When we think or when we are starting out, right, we've got a number of commercial companies now, we've got a number of international companies. When we think about, hey, how do we set up the next one? What's the next idea? A lot of it is the business part of it. What's the market look like? What's the business plan look like? Tony didn't sell Griffin on, hey, we're going to build another radar, right? You walk down the hallway, you trip over 3 advanced radars at SRC. It was sold on the marketing plan. It was sold on the business model. That's the piece that we need to keep getting better and better at SRC, and that's what programs like this can really help us excel to a different level. So I challenge all of you to do that. There's similar stories with 4V and Acumen Detection, SRC Australia now, SRC Canada, right? We've got international businesses now too. So again, my challenge to you is bring the things you've learned here back to SRC, back to all the companies under the enterprise umbrella, and help us grow even bigger than we are today and be more successful even than we are today. So the future for SRC, as I mentioned, we have a diverse portfolio of commercial companies, international companies, and then our traditional business, our traditional not-for-profit business, our manufacturing business that we have. There's a lot of opportunities going forward at SRC, and we're not going to slow down. If anything, we're increasing. We're increasing our speed. Sheryl Sandberg, who's the COO for Facebook, had a great quote. This was while she was interviewing and looking at what companies to go to work for. Now I'm going to have to get the glasses on. I thought I almost made it. She said, you know, when companies are growing quickly and they are having a lot of impact, careers take care of themselves. And when companies aren't growing quickly and their missions don't matter as much, that's when stagnation and politics come in. If you're offered a seat on a rocket ship, don't ask what seat, just get on. SRC's a rocket ship, and each of you have a seat on that rocket ship right now. And so help us keep that rocket ship growing. And again, almost like Corey read some of my speech before he got up here, but you know, the other thing that I mentioned earlier, a big part of what's going to make that happen, and again, leverage the people that you went through this with, because it's all about interdependence as opposed to independence. You can only do so much on your own. It's really, again, reaching out across the enterprise, establishing those relationships, and then drawing on those people to create those teams to really make things happen. And the biggest thing, too, is don't be afraid of failure. You know, make a decision. As we were going into this commercial, international, traditional, you know, one person I looked to and really thought of as a real lean-forward, can-do guy is Phil Fazio, our CFO. I mean, he's a guy that you say, Phil, how are we going to set up a company that does this but doesn't do that and has this? And Phil's like, yep, let's do it. Yep, let's go. Not afraid to make a decision. That's another key part. And now my daughter just graduated from Baldwinsville High School over last weekend, and I'm going to steal a quote that I believe it was a salutatorian made. You can't be afraid of failure. The highways of life are full of flat squirrels who couldn't make up their mind. So finally, SRC, I've been there, it's been 31 years now. We got to update my bio. But anyways, I've been there 31 years now. It is truly a special place. We are a not-for-profit parent, and we joke not-for-profit by design, as there's a lot of companies that are not-for-profit by happenstance. We're not-for-profit by design. You know, we make tremendous investments every year into our employees. We make tremendous investments into the community. We make tremendous investments into technology, cutting-edge technology that really addresses, you know, our nation's most challenging problems. But in the end, you know, SRC is a business, and you're going to help us run that business. The reason we can do those things is because we run SRC as a business, as an efficient business, which allows us to have those dollars to reinvest. So with that, like I said, please help us keep that SRC a successful business that can really participate in the community, can help out the community. And through your efforts, SRC can remain a special place. And so thank you very much, and thank you for your efforts.
Candidates for the master's degree, please rise. Madam President, I have the honor of presenting these candidates for the master's degree.
By the authority vested in me by the University of the State of New York, the Board of Trustees, and the faculty of this college, I confer on you the master's degree and invest you with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereunto. To signify this honor, master's degree graduates will now have the hood bestowed upon them. Congratulations.
Graduate degree recipients, please come forward to be hooded. Families and guests are requested to hold their applause until all the candidates have received their degrees.
William Bittler. Cervantes L. Dennis. John N. DeFlorio. Nick Dmitrievsky. Michael Dudley. Justin Farrar. John Fazio. Chris Hollenson. Tyler G. Jenks. Laura Ann Livingston. Margaret McCormick. Jonathan Peck. Michael Pecoraro. Kevin Pearson. Mitchell Rufus. Sean Spirato. Corey A. Stockman. Huda S. Suleiman. Thomas Thompson. Rachel Vryhoff. Michael Wheeler.
Please join me in congratulating the graduates.
Well, I have an opportunity to address you now. This is called the charge to the graduates, not what it appears. We've had such great remarks tonight with Corey and with Joe. I told Joe I'm going to steal a few of them, actually, especially about the rocket ship. But this ceremony, your ceremony, it's just about over. This is a day of cheerful celebration and a time to reflect on all that you've accomplished. You've earned the right, tonight at least, to be the center of attention. I know you've brought your families with you, and to revel in your latest achievements, and to look forward to the professional possibilities that lie ahead. You are members of the first cohort of SRC SUNY Oswego MBA. You've helped chart a program of study that I am certain others will follow. You have great expectations for yourself I can tell by the way you've proceeded with this program, and boundless excitement about applying a newly acquired business acumen, as Joe talked about, to the career opportunities that lie ahead of you here at SRC and into the future. Your accomplishment is especially noteworthy, as you have, as been mentioned before tonight, you've balanced the demands of work, family, in addition to a rigorous graduate study. Please accept our deep appreciation for the contributions you've made to SRC, but you have also made contribution to SUNY Oswego. Your participation in the program has enhanced SRC's human capital and provided SUNY Oswego with faculty insight into the innovative nature of your work. You may not know how opaque that is to the Academy, but it's especially noteworthy that we could come to the Academy to proceed with this program. As I shared with fellow graduates this past May, we live and work in a world that is unsettled by political unrest, and our nation is increasingly concerned with the division, distrust, and conflict we see and face around us and around the world. It seems to affect us daily, but I am confident. And you know, higher education and the Academy brings us this kind of confidence, that we will prevail. We will prevail because of leaders like you and the companies like SRC that invest in people, create meaningful partnerships, seek solutions, and rally behind noble causes. Gary Hamel, an American management expert and author, said, "A noble purpose inspires sacrifice, stimulates innovation, and encourages perseverance." You have persevered. My message to you today is that you have all the expertise, motivation, and increasing knowledge to contribute to a better future for all of us. And you, and your mere presence among us today, shines a light on you as lifelong learners with a proven ability to persevere, to grow, to create, and to innovate. I know this to be true because SRC has invested in you and trained you to be your best in many ways, including with your MBA. And SUNY Oswego has further equipped you with additional knowledge and business perspectives and principles that will prepare you for the years ahead. Graduates, I contend that each of you is now ready to ascend further in your careers. Yet I encourage you to continue to challenge your own convictions, hone your newfound understanding with your emotional intelligence, and continue to be a manager, an engineer, a developer, a technician, a planner, an administrator, and an innovator, and do so with the profound understanding of the broader business enterprise that you've learned now through your studies. Steve Jobs said, "Everyone here has the sense that right now is one of those moments when we are influencing the future." Graduates, MBA graduates, I believe that that time is now. Time for you to seize your future, be confident, be tenacious, and make your impact on SRC and the world. Congratulations and Godspeed.
Please stand while Seth Hill leads us in the singing of the alma mater. The words are printed on the back of the program.
Voices fill the air, singing reverently, pledging our school fair, truth and loyalty. This
Please be seated. Families and guests are requested to remain in their seats until all graduates have recessed. Immediately following the ceremony, you are invited to reunite with your graduate at a reception held in the rear of this ballroom. Madam President, I declare the commencement ceremony to be adjourned.